Hi everyone, hope you're doing really well. So before we get into the actual content of the video, I just want to say a few things with some random background footage just playing. So what I'm trying to do in this video is sort of see under what circumstances is Eula, Ayaka or even Kokomi the best in slot duo with the Raiden Shogun. And of course the answer is not always a simple this is the best character for the Raiden, but it depends obviously on a lot of circumstances and the types of enemies you've got. Is it a group of enemies? Is it single target focus? What's the sort of point, etc., etc. But hopefully with all the given examples, you guys will get a sort of like feeling as to what these sorts of heroes can actually do in supporting the Raiden Shogun and sort of what the differences are between each one of them. So whenever you hear me on the channel like say something, for instance, such as Kokomi enables aggressive DPS, then you'll have an actual like good understanding of why that is. You can actually come back to this video and see why it works and why it doesn't work. So what I will do is I will showcase each one of them. I will do Raiden Kokomi solo, but with Ayaka and Eula we will use Zhongli, of course, and that's because it's very difficult to do a video without taking substantial damage in the current abyss. So to kick things off, let's start off with the quote-unquote best in slot duo of Raiden Shogun, and that's going to be Eula, and let's just sort of see the performance. So what we're going to try and do here is hopefully our stars are going to align, and we can then sort of try and kill all these guys at the same time. You can see a 3 out of 6, and then we can go into the next boss. Oh, sorry, so the next sort of phase in this fight, and then hopefully we can clean up this guy. And there we go, and now we're just going to drop a meteorite to make life easier. Of course we don't have our ultimate here with Eula, so we're going to have to then swap back to the Raiden Shogun just to keep up the tempo, and then we just sort of slightly lost out on a bit of damage. This is a bit of crit dependent, but that's sort of the story. And then we're looking at about, assuming about a 40 seconds clear time, not too bad. Now let's do it with Kokomi. You'll note there's no Zhongli in the team for support. And let's see what the little mermaid girl can do and if we can do better in 40 seconds. And here we go. So Raiden Shogun is going to take everyone out. So you'll note the strategic placement of the jellyfish. Typically what's really cool about Kokomi in this circumstances is that she can apply the wet status so quickly that we can sort of take out the guys very easily. And then we're just going to sort of hit them. And you'll see I'm going to cancel very early with Kokomi because they're all grouped up pretty nicely, and then we can take them all out at once, and obviously we can do a lot more damage because we've got that obviously wet effect. And now here's Ayaka, we're just going to hit them, and there we go. And as you can see, pretty easy. And then the sort of Ayaka like ultimate's going to clean up that last guy. We can just sort of keep on the aggression. As you can see with both Ayaka and Eula, we've also got like a bit of problems keeping our ultimate consistently up, but it's less so than Ayaka, and that's because she can generate her elemental burst a lot quicker than Eula can. And then there it is, about 30 seconds. So let's see what happens with the Mago Kenki. This is, I think, the fastest time for the Eula clear, and that obviously makes sense because if you can crit with Eula, and this is the big thing, if you don't crit with Eula, you are literally better off using Kokomi, well, on my account at least. And I've got a C6 triple crowned Eula, just for like context. So, but if Eula can crit, she out damages both Ayaka and obviously Kokomi by a huge margin. So yeah, let's see, and now he's going to be able to take damage, build up some stacks, and you'll see some crazy damage coming out from Eula. I think we got slightly unlucky with the RNG stack because usually you can one-shot him. I have like one-shotted him like in less than 40 seconds before, but that's sort of you know how the RNG goes. There you go, pretty respectable time. Let's see what our little jellyfish queen can do. So this is a situation where Kokomi is like really much more useful in providing support than actual damage because we've got a high damage target, and obviously Kokomi is not really going to do that well. But the big point is we don't have to waste time dodging at all. Even though it was really hard for me not to dodge because like instinct is like dodge this, but you can see with the jellyfish I didn't even need to dodge. I can just sort of keep the attack going, and then we've got this again with Kokomi, and Raiden Shogun's ultimate's back up online, so we can just use hers. and just sort of placing the jellyfish. A bit of bad play from my side, but you can see here we're already now sort of really behind the Eula time. But that just sort of happens, and our Raiden Shogun is critically injured, but we can just then sort of go mad. Of course, I must just mention we don't have the Zhongli shield, so we don't get that resistance drop that we do like with Ayaka and with Eula, but that's just sort of what it is. But as you can see, pretty comfortable clear. We didn't need to waste time on shields, and we can get our ultimates up pretty consistently. So that's one of the cool things about this team. Oh, I just sort of showed the end there, no problem. You can see Klee just destroying the entire abyss while the other three are busy fighting the bosses. And here we go, Raiden Shogun with Ayaka. This should also be a pretty quick clear because Ayaka's elemental burst can do quite a bit of damage, so it's going to take a bit of time. And it's sort of, I try to keep like the same attack patterns just to try and keep this as consistent as we can. And obviously what we'll do now is we'll charge up Ayaka's elemental burst. It's the same that we had with Eula. I'm just going to, our Zhongli C4 is just going to give us an extra shield, if I remember if it's C4, I can't remember C4 or C2, something to that effect. And here you can see the massive amounts of damage we are doing with Ayaka. And now what we're going to do is we're just going to save or conserve all our elemental burst, and then we'll get a clearing time which is roughly in line with what we had with Eula. So here's the final floor, and here you can see Zhongli, Raiden Shogun and Eula. Obviously we'll do the same pattern, shield, and then go into Raiden Shogun and charge up Eula's ultimate and then see if we can go ham. I tried to do this floor in such a way that we can group up all the enemies, because I didn't really want to give any like one hero like an advantage over another. So here you can see everyone's grouped up, and Eula will be able to take them out all simultaneously. And there we go. There we go, that's it. And now we can go to these guys. So obviously the problem with Eula is you don't need the Raiden Shogun for Superconduct, because there are just like many other Electro characters that can provide the exact same thing. It does take, you can see the on-field time between the two is quite a lot. You have a lot less quick swap nature, and generally you want to try and set up your Eula to try and deal the maximum damage. That's sort of like the big difference. Right, let's see how Kokomi does in the last half. And what I want you to note is, especially, don't look at Kokomi's health, but try and look at the Raiden Shogun's health like from time to time, like here. Sort of see what happens when the enemy attacks us. But what we're going to do is we're not even going to dodge, we're not going to do anything, we're just going to go full ham auto. And we will barely take any damage. That's because of the strong jellyfish. And you can see now we've got downtime, so this is what Kokomi is really good for. Is during those downtimes we can just sort of attack, and now we can pop a jellyfish, go back to Raiden Shogun, and you'll see despite the fact that we'll be taking like some damage from the environment and from the enemies, look at how low our health is, we're just like healing up constantly. And then we've got this last enemy, and again during the downtimes this is what Kokomi is really good at, providing that consistent damage even like at a range. And now we can sort of finish this off. This was not a critical hit sadly, otherwise we could have gotten the time like a bit faster, but generally slower than the Eula run for obvious reasons. And here's the final run with Ayaka, and I think you guys sort of know how it will go. I think it will be slightly faster than the Eula run, but then again this is all about RNG, so either one can work. So in conclusion, hopefully you guys can see that for Eula and Ayaka to work with the Raiden Shogun, you need some sort of shield. Obviously having Kokomi on her own, she's more than good enough. And now you guys can sort of see what I meant by Kokomi is like a strong generalist, because she fulfills all the roles of being able to tank, heal and attack, and that is why her attack needs to be lower than the others. Otherwise her utility is going to be too much. But yeah, let me know down in the comments which one of these runs you like the most. Personally speaking, I like the Kokomi one the best. Cheers guys.